What's up, good people? Welcome to a new video. Hopefully everybody had a nice week. Looking forward to the weekend. I do want to, before the Friday ends, do something to the van. And what I want to do today is I want to install a switch. Switch is going to be in our little bedroom, so that way when we read a book and want to fall asleep, we can just turn around and hit the switch and the lights go off. Other than that, we got some doorknobs, a couple cabinets. We're gonna do all that. So welcome to my new video. Appreciate you guys sticking along as I'm recording my little van build series. Look out for next video. Ordered something that's gonna make a huge difference camping and using our little Chevy Express camper van that we're building. I can't wait till it gets here so we can install it and then go camping. I appreciate every one of you. Let's do this switch and the doorknobs. The way that I made this is that the entire cabinet comes out, revealing the switchboard in the back. So essentially what we're going to be looking to do is to run a wire for this switch through this wall right here. Install the switches down there. If I have the two lights here, there's one light, there's a second light. If I have my battery power, plus minus, I have my fuse. Now I have my switch here. And I have my bedroom switch. Originally, what's happening is power is going through the fuse. From the fuse, it's going to the switch. Now, the switch brings the red wires to the other leg, right there. So, all I can do is I can intercept this right here, take this wire to this switch, and from this switch, bring this wire here, and eliminate the place here where the X's are. To go through this flow, now I have my positive going through the fuse, I have it going through this switch right here, and I have it going through this switch right here. So in an event that this switch is off, my lights will not work anywhere. In an event that this switch is off, neither of the lights will work. So it's not a true three-way switch, but it works for me because all I'm going to do is make sure that my switch is on over here, and the main switch, number one, and then the bedroom switch, we'll put B. The bedroom switch will basically just kind of be like an intercept switch or an interrupter switch that turns power off. You know, with a three-way switch, regardless of what the other switch position is in, the other switch still is always the master. So like if one of your switches is off, the other one will turn it on and off. In my case, if my bedroom switch is off, my hallway, whatever, the out front switch cannot work. So for me, it works this way. It's much simpler and I don't have to add more wiring or buy a different switch. All right, so this is the switch. I have to get this, you see this little recess right here? I have to cut the wood to have this be able to sit flush with the wood. So I'm gonna be using my favorite material to cut a template. Guess what it is? Insulation board. I swear I'm gonna build a whole van and then finally run out of stuff and feel great about it. Because as I keep saying, I hate throwing it away. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and trace this out, make a little template. That way we can cut this. I don't know if anyone's ever tried cleaning or vacuuming this this material right here, but it sucks. So I'm gonna do a little better job as far as dust or debris mitigation. Take the template. Oh, no matter how much I try, I cannot do it without making a mess. Look at that. Oh. Horrible. Shop vac time. Now the wire that I'm using is way overkill for this little light. It's a 12 gauge. I like to go over if I can. It's not gonna hurt anything, but you do want to make sure that the fuse is properly sized and also the load, that it doesn't exceed the wire. So in this case, it's definitely not going to exceed the wire size, but it is a little overkill. And what I'm going to do is to stay, how do you say, politically correct, I'm just going to use two reds right here instead of using the black because they're both power, right? I don't have a ground on the switch. nor do I need a ground. So we're gonna prepare this right here, like so, twisting this on. Two of these connectors. I can't find my heat shrink and all that, so we're not gonna bother with that. Let's see, we are insulated. Give it a good pull, like that. Alright, that's not going anywhere. Perfect, that's very hard to get on there. And now I'm going to see if we can cut this. Let's use the cutters. Right there, prepare this wire. One thing I do want to point out is you never want to be using solid wire in a van. You want to use these stranded. I don't like using solid because solid is not really designed for all the movement and everything. And since we don't have heat shrink, I'm gonna reserve to using some of my electrical tape here that I have. And the biggest thing that we're trying to avoid is with vibration, these two power leads touching, because that's just gonna turn our lights on and off, and we don't want that. Just a few turns, like so. Just for added peace of mind, how you say, protection. So I want to go ahead and make up my switch while I have everything here on the table. Alright, so we're plugging in one side, and we're gonna reverse this and plug in the other side. And we can maybe just put a little electrical tape to join those two together. Alright, not the prettiest thing in the world, but it'll do. And now we can test our switch. Let's see if this meter has, let's see here, continuity, if this works on this meter. It does. So that just tells us that when current flows through here, the switch is on. It allows power to go from this wire to this wire, which is exactly why we need this single pole, single throw switch. Let's go ahead and get some screws and put this in. Now that we have these wires, we need to intersect our power wire. Alright, lights going off, meaning power is off. And we're going to cut this guy right here. Place this. And the other end. Now let's see if we can use one of these guys right here. Stranded is 16 gauge to 12 gauge. I feel like I'm opening a bag of candy. We need two. How do these work? I think you just push it in. All right, fair enough. Let's push it in. And now we're going to find our two leads off of here and push them in. These are good. Like so. And one more, if it fits. So in theory, once we put this back onto our switch down here, now it should work. Alright, power's on. So let's try this switch here. And let's try this switch here. Okay. Does not work. Alright, that didn't really work. There just wasn't a good connection, so probably 12 gauge is pushing it stranded, because you can't really push it in there to get a good connection. So I would just use some other connectors, put electrical tape. Yeah, let's try it. Fan is off. Okay, so lights on this switch work, and we should be able to turn the light off with this switch. There we go. So now that the power is off through the switch, this switch is useless. But this switch has to remain on, because if this switch is off, nothing is here, right? So it's one of those things that when I leave the van, all switches go off, right? Regardless of what that thing back there says. So if I have my curtain on or anything and I don't know if the light is on over there or not, I don't have to second guess. I can just, you know, come here on the switch and basically turn everything off like so. My plan is, at least. So when I'm going to bed, these lights go off and this one stays on because I'm going into this room. When I lay down, read a book, and I need to go to sleep, all I have to do is turn that off. So again, it's not a real three-way switch because I cannot turn power on from here when that's off over there. So with the real three-way switch, you can turn power on and off regardless of what the other switch is doing, and that's the difference. This is just kind of a interrupter switch, if you will, or whatever. So I was thinking to maybe do something like this, to just kind of do a little bit of a detail here, but you know, it's just a switch, so I'm okay the way that it looks, like so. Turn all the power on, and let's go ahead and put everything back together. I'm going to add some zip ties, clean all this up right here. Give it a test. Off there. Off there. Success. All right, let's put these doorknobs on. So I got these, I was at this hobby store. Look at these little beauties. I don't know if that's gonna look weird or not, but I feel like it's gonna break up all this perfection. Give it a little color. Why not? We can always change them if we don't like them. But yeah, simple. We just need to make a hole here. There we go, making a mess again. Voila. It works, and I can hang a rag. You know, like back in the day when you hung rags and cabinet doorknobs. Does anyone do that? This side just need a measurement. So let's inspect the door, make sure there's no interfering. I have to cut this one. So let's say this one, I want it right there, 12 inches. Those little tabs. Get a pillow in this bad boy. Look, I can even turn it off with my foot. Look at that. Look at this luxury. And just like that, we've completed another project. Some may even call this unprofessional. How we kind of, you know, rigged it up. To those, I say it's okay. We're not selling anything. It doesn't have to be all perfect. It does the job. To the rest of you, thank you. Or thank you to everybody. Like, subscribe. Thank you for all the support. I'm looking forward to the next video. It's gonna be a surprise. We're adding something, for me, it's a big deal. Not really a huge deal, but we're adding something to the van that's gonna make camping, like I said, awesome. See you guys in the next video. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. And I appreciate everybody. All the best. Bye.